So this morning I'm lighting a candle as we honor Memorial Day in our country to hold the space for those who have lost their lives in the pursuit of the ideal of freedom. Just taking a moment in silence to acknowledge the gravity, the devastation, really, of the idea of war, that people have to lay down their lives or take the lives of others in the pursuit of freedom. And so we honor the people around the world who have done that. And I invite you to hold a vision this morning, an elevated vision of our shared humanity meeting the soul's reality that we just proclaimed, that we are one in spirit and in truth. And so may we come to find a day where we no longer have to hold the space in this way, right? That freedom can be so fully known in its fullness, that it applies to all people everywhere, that we can begin to hold a vision for how to work forward in peaceful, meaningful ways. So I just invite you to take a breath as we open with prayer this morning, connecting with that light of spirit that illuminates each one of us, coming from that one shared source of light and life itself, animating these physical bodies, these minds, these feelings. That beneath all of that there is this force of divine life seeking to live through each one of us individually in such a way that we recognize that truth in and for one another collectively. So I just invite you to take a breath, to catch your breath in this space, to let your mind slow a bit, centering in your heart that has a felt experience of that spirit. May we release anything that stands in its way this day, to shine more brightly through us, to hold the light of love and peace for humanity itself. And to begin to live each day in such a way that that light shines forward for all to see. May we be illumined, made whole, and set free. And so it is. I chose a reading today from Reverend Scott Aubrey, who writes spiritual passages. He said, "This Memorial Day, as we honor those who gave their lives in service to something greater than themselves, we are reminded that silence in the face of injustice is not neutral. It is complicity. The freedoms we commemorate were not won by quiet resignation, but by courageous voices and decisive action. Just as soldiers stepped forward to protect the vulnerable and defend liberty, so too are we called to rise, not with weapons, but with wisdom, conviction, and compassion, to right what is wrong, to speak what is true, and to heal what is broken. The highest tribute we can pay to those who sacrificed is not merely to reflect on their valor, but to embody it, to stand up, speak out, and be a presence for peace and justice in our world today. So I light this candle. I already did. So I turn it over to Summer.
I see revolution, transformation of our time. All the things that used to be unthinkable are now turning into rights. And soon we'll see the ink change and dry, including every single one of us. One by one, we are crossing over lines. And one by one, we are changing people's minds. And it's due to being relentless. It is because we believe that change is coming for us. And you bet that we won't leave until we stand up where they can't see us. Stand together, we can't fail. Stand, I bet they can hear us coming. It's rise or fall, God help them all when they meet us hand in hand. But you have got to stand. Just look where we have come from. Look at what time has revealed. We are representing offices, leveling the field. Our precursors are now arrows, and they're directing you and me. They're pointing us toward the horizon, where we're supposed to be. No more telling us we're crazy. No more burying our grief. No more veiling prophets. No more dying quietly. We are peaceful, but exigent. We are vast and we are sharp. And we are coming out in multitudes. So you bet we'll leave a mark if we all stand up where they can't see us. Together we can't fail. Stand, they can't ignore us forever. It's a rise and fall, God help them all when they meet us hand in hand. But you have got to stand. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution to the United States of America. Do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? It means we are responsible for making these words our truth, to make sure that they stand for you and you and you. Because when these words are written, they were not written just for some. No. When these words were written, they were for every single one. Ha! Stand up where they can't see us. Stand, together we can't fail. Stand, let's finish what they started. Is a rise and fall, God help them all when they meet us hand in hand. But you have got to stand.
What's your band name again?
Just for today, the Rottweilers.
The Rottweilers. Good job, Rottweilers. Yeah, Rottweilers are really sweet. Most of them. So, you remember right where we left off, right? We were working through the Gospel of Mary, these seven stages of the ego, these 7 climates, these 7 powers of the ego that get us caught up from the inside out, that get us disconnected, that in fact, as we'll learn today, there's a component of the ego that can't even really see or comprehend or know the soul, the eternal truth of us, the eternal divine nature of us. As we said last week, the ego really has no soul, right? There is nothing true beyond its capacity that we use it for in our day-to-day life, which is important. We're not dismissing it. It's useful. But there is nothing lasting about it. It will die with our physical body. And so the Gospel of Mary is really inviting us to consider that we can know this eternal aspect while we are incarnated. We don't have to we don't have to wait until we go to another place in order to experience the fullness of that truth. We can know it here and now, but we have to learn how the ego operates and how it catches us up in ways that when we don't know, we cause a lot of harm to ourselves and to others. So again, Mary's gospel holds this powerful premise that what the major part of why we are here is this human experience. So we're not denying it. We're not sinnifying our humanity, if you will. I just made that up on the spot. Don't sinnify it. But we are also coming to engage with and to remember the sense of freedom that the soul holds. A freedom that is hard won within each individual as we discover the treasures of the soul for ourselves. So ultimately, Mary's gospel is stressing the importance of integration of both the soul and the body to become a true human being, anthropos, to be fully human and fully divine, not 70-30, like fully human, fully divine. No competition there. It's integration. That's the goal. So I just remind you that there are several accounts of the other disciples who we've learned, if we've been in the Christian tradition, a lot about traditionally. But there's several scriptures that speak of the disciples coming to Mary Magdalene after the death of Jesus to say, we know that he taught you things that he didn't teach us. Teach us, help us. And she responds graciously by saying, I will teach you what is hidden from you. That is a teaching for us as well, right? Everything that this story is portraying is about what happens in us. So what is hidden from you, and we've heard this through many of the major faith traditions, what is hidden from you is hidden where? Within you. I will teach you what is hidden from you, and you will have to reveal it from within you. So it's important to realize that Mary's teaching is for us to uncover these aspects of the ego that keep us from knowing and integrating with our own soul, our own eternal truth. And that there is something, I think, relative that we're dealing with in terms of welcoming back the power of the divine feminine within us, which is that capacity to receive the truth, not just know it, but to receive it in a way that we can feel it and embody it and live from it. And so in some way, it feels as though Mary's the one that brings that second part. We know it, and then we know it. and then we can begin to be it. I want to also remind us that because we're talking about these foundational Christian scriptures, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Gospel of Philip, the Gospel of Thomas, some of those earliest scriptures from people that were actually learning with Jesus. So before there was any other agenda other than to teach this capacity within all of us. And this is particularly important when we realize that the earliest writings in these scriptures say nothing about sin in the way that that the church or that many of us were taught that we were sort of inherently sinful, right? In fact, Jesus is quoted as saying, "There is no such thing as sin, but rather it is something that we produce within ourselves." I think he said you. He might have said we. Produce within ourselves when we misunderstand the truth of who we are. So it is not sin, but ignorance of our true nature that causes suffering. Does that resonate? Right? So it's, in a way, we're still not off the hook. But we weren't like born on the hook. Right? Like, okay, there's something that goes on in us that we're ignorant to. And then we go out, and that's the darn thing about ignorance. You don't know that you don't know. Right? You're unaware of something, and you're unaware that you're unaware. And so you just go out and do what you do. And is it just me that does that? Okay. So the power of the ego that we're talking about today is ignorance. And the first step really is just expanding our awareness to recognize that we can't know everything, right? I mean, give ourselves a break. We cannot know everything in all situations, and what I know for me is not what you know for you, is not what you know for you. And you know what's really cool is when we can get over that, what you know that I don't know is cool. It's cool because I don't know it, and now I do, right? And each of us has an individual expression of what we know and how we know truth and how we've experienced life. And if we can tap down that part of us that thinks we know, we can actually glean a lot from each other. I want to introduce you to this term noose. I think I may have said it before, but noose is an ancient term, N-O-U-S, the ancient term that was used to describe the finest point of the soul. The point, I see that as like the point that can puncture up into our awareness. It's where we can begin to perceive there's more to us. And this term is only used in the Gospel of Mary. And why is that important? Because those who had been studying came to her and said, "Teach us what we don't understand." And she's bringing this forward for a reason. Because this, to hone your vision for what is within you takes some skill. But there's a place within you that is skilled at it. But we get so caught up in what we can see, right? And what we can judge and what we can do, and all of that's fine. It's just not the totality of us. So this concept of noose was translated, you may have heard it in Scripture, for where your mind is, there is your treasure. It was originally this term noose. So where that place within you that can perceive something deeper of you, that's where your treasure is. That's the key. That's the opening. Megan Watterson, in her book Mary Magdalene Revealed, says it is a treasure because it is our direct link of an experience of love, of God, of the good right here in this body. It is this return to love that frees us from the 7 powers that bind us to the ego's reality. So the noose is the property of the heart, not the mind. It's an important distinction. There is a knowing in our heart. So we've looked at the first 2 powers. I put them in your bulletin, so if you weren't here, you don't feel left out. We looked at darkness and clinging and craving. And today we are on to ignorance, which Megan Watterson defines really fantastically as ignorance is a profound lack of vision. Right? There's an innocence to it. It's not saying we're not intellectually capable. It's we don't even see something to be able to know it. So it's calling for an expansion of awareness, right? And this is very practical, like every day. What do I not know when I'm dealing with someone who's frustrated with me or I'm frustrated with? What am I not seeing here? I'm not just talking about this ethereal ego. I'm going to get there, and soul, right? How can I broaden my vision in every circumstance to see beyond what I know and include what's happening within another person or within a situation? So before we look at the particular scripture, I know you're excited. Before we look at the scripture, I wanted to note this. It may be helpful to note that mystics have often used this sort of dialogue approach to address the ego and the soul. Like, how do we, if you think about this is 2,000 years ago. I mean, we have the luxury now we have psychology, we have quantum physics, we know so much more. We have language for this aspect of our humanity called our ego, right? That helps us decide what to wear and helps us know how to get here and helps us in many ways, and in some ways traps us and limits us and cuts us off and has us believe that somehow we're separate and alone, or that we have the capacity to change things that happened 20 years ago or to control things that will happen those fun things that the ego does. So this is a time where they don't have the language for that. So this dialogue that we're going to see is how many of the mystics, people who had a direct experience of the divine as love, taught about it in this sort of dialogue. And Megan Watterson also reminds us that Scripture was rarely, if ever, meant to be taken literally. It's a poetic story, if you will, to try to illuminate a truth that is so big, you've got to kind of relate it to something that gets us some connection to, okay, I follow that, right? But if you take it literally, you're missing that bigger purpose. So here's the scripture. You can put that slide up just so they can see it as well. That's going to talk us through this power of ignorance. In Mary 9, verse 2 through 6. And desire, remember we reframed the power of desire as this craving or clinging that the ego does. So, and desire said, I did not see you go down, yet now I see you come up. So why do you lie, since you belong to me? The soul answered, I saw you, you did not see me. nor did you know me. You mistook the garment I wore for my true self, and you did not recognize me. I mean, it just feels like, ooh, told ya. It's like poetic and mysterious. So I did not see you go down, yet I see you come up. This is a response triggered by our ego when we begin to cultivate a connection with our soul, with a higher truth, and it becomes more available to us in our consciousness, and our ego says, whoa, stop right there. Don't you bite off on that. You can't trust that. That's not true. What is that? As if the soul belongs to the ego. Right? So it gets good. It gets good. So why do you lie since you belong to me? This feels to me like the ego sort of projecting a sense of control that it does not have. And the soul does not belong to the ego. The ego has no soul. There is nothing lasting about the ego. It will die with our physical body. And that is a fact that the ego is ignorant to. It cannot conceive of. In fact, when you push it to conceive of it, it gets real jumpy, real clingy. The soul answered, I saw you, but you did not see me, nor did you know me. And knowing is not cognition so much as that term gnosis, to experience it. You can't even experience what's at the depth of you, ego. This aspect of the ego, ignorance, does not see or experience the soul. So you see why it's so important to know it, to begin to be able to tame it and work with it and recognize it so that you can know the depth of you? This is not a lesson about shame on you, by the way. We are all in this boat, in this physical body, with this egoic mind. It's just this template, this map to figure out how we get caught up. And ignorance is a huge one because we don't know we're in it. And so powerful is this climate of the ego that it does not even allow us, if we don't recognize its limits, to know the depth of us. This is what ignorance does, says Megan Watterson. It clings with that egoic desire to control. It is compelled by something that is not rooted in the soul. It is not truth. And the soul gives us part of the answer in that last statement. I saw you, you did not see me, nor did you know me. Because the soul can see ignorance, but the ego cannot. So we've got some hope there. Is this terrible? Are you guys tired? Okay. I'm just making you think. Okay. So part of the remedy here is that the soul can see ignorance. The soul can recognize it for what it is. But how do we know when we're in an ignorant state? How do we reach a place where we can recognize that we are in this power of ignorance? The bridge, the antidote for this power is humility. Not humiliation. There's no shame in it. It's taking a step back to say, there's something here I don't know. I thank my stepchildren for really bringing this home for me. Humility in parenting. Whew. You get an A+ if you do that right. Right? Because at some point you're in this struggle of the wills, and you have to just go, is my need to be right in this? And I'm not talking about life and death situations. I'm talking about, snack after 9 p.m. or something. That you're like, I'm going to get this one. But why? And I'll never forget the day she said, but why? I said, because I said so. She just looked at me. But why? And in my mind, I was like, well, it always worked for me. I always just said, okay, Mom. I didn't have an answer. It was just because it's 9 o'clock. It seems like a good thing, right? And so to recognize, I don't know. And in the face of someone who I love and who I want to stay connected with and who I don't want to shame unnecessarily, I step into humility. So humility acts as a home base, a recognition that, as Megan Watterson so powerfully says, that I cannot, should not, and will never be able to know all things. Can you believe it? I will never be perfect and always in the right in every situation. She says that humility is a profound experience of understanding that the true master is always the novice. The more we know, the more we can get into states of love and the infinite of the soul. The more that we know that, humility. It reminds us that there is something larger than us. And it opens us to that, to receive that, to be in curiosity and awe about that. Once you tune into it, it's kind of fun. You can kind of go, oh, look at me, there I go. Every time we encounter another person, we have another chance to experience a whole new universe of wisdom and love. All that goes on in you and you and you and you and you that only a few people really know. With humility, I feel like we can welcome that from each other and hold that with each other. We don't know all that there is. When I first took this position, my spiritual leader made me make a note. So I was like having a heart. I was just swirling in doubt and insecurity. But I don't know how. He said, take out your paper right now and write on this, it's okay not to know, and hang it on your desk or hang it somewhere where you can see it. Right? There's that aspect of us that is just sure I can know it all. So sense into humility. We're gonna have a time of feeling into that, because humility, if you again distinguish it from humiliation, right? It's not about making you wrong, and if you've done wrong, you might need to take responsibility for that, to be humble in that. And who is best at showing us when we're in a climate of ignorance besides your kids? Anyone who we've caused harm to when we don't know what we don't know, when we go flipping around. Those people that say, that hurt my feelings. Or why did you say that? Or why did you say nothing, right? That's our clue. Okay, there's something here I don't know. So I'll invite you to consider that ignorance is, it's a doozy. It happens to us all. And as soon as we begin to realize that we have a limited capacity of what we know, and that we can become aware and more aware and more aware and more aware, it's not insurmountable. And it requires us to cultivate a state of humility. especially when we are confronted by people who we may have harmed out of our ignorance. I sense when I breathe into and connect with humility, I sense a feeling of relief. Megan Watterson talks about, the ego can finally wave a white flag. Just, I surrender. I don't know everything. I'm not perfect. Doesn't that just, there's an opening there. We can surrender to the facade that we know it all at all times and in all places, and we can open up to consider the point of view of another, not as a threat to our being right, but as another piece of the puzzle, another aspect of wisdom and love that we can complete this puzzle of humanity with. So as we see through these climates of our own ego, we can begin to calm the tug of war that goes on within us. And then we can begin to see how we can co-create ways of being together from that higher vision point, that expanded awareness. So I'm going to invite you to a time of meditation to tune in with your sense of humility. So I invite you to shift around and get comfortable. I know you've been sitting for a minute. Take a deep breath. Just ring the singing bowl every Sunday to invite us to drop from our head to our heart. Our breath helps with that too. Invite you to take a deep breath and invite your physical body to feel comfortable. So moving or stretching any place that might feel tense or uncomfortable. Just really welcoming the whole experience, your physical experience, your mental experience, your emotional experience. So feel your feet firmly planted on the ground. Feel your back pushing against the chair. Let it support you. Feel the air on your skin. And feel how taking a conscious deep breath invites your full presence into this moment right here, right now. Our breath is a huge tool for calming our nervous system, calming our mind, and bringing us inward to that realization that the soul speaks in the silence. So we have to get quiet, get still. Open our inner ears to connect with the eternal truth at the center of our being. That place within us that feels the importance and the need for humility and the freedom that humility brings about. So just invite you to take another deep breath and connect with the concept, the experience of humility, what it feels like in your body. What it brings to your mind. If you have a hard time connecting with it, you might find an experience where you relied on humility. How did that feel? Can you sense freedom in that, relief, spaciousness? Relieving yourself of this burdensome idea that somehow you should know everything. And notice there's sort of a tenderness about humility. It's not shaming or judging. It's very gracious, opening us up to what might we be able to know here if we let down the guard that we already know it. That's all. The state of humility carves a path for our soul to continue to rise, allowing us glimpses of these deeper truths that bind us all together. This truth that we belong to each other. And humility is our bridge out of ignorance, where we can cast a fuller vision, a higher truth. And so while these egoic states are challenging, to be sure, and threatening if we don't know them, we don't know how to tame them or work with them, they also bring us a necessary challenge to know and to choose to know a depth of us beyond the egoic mind. To expand our consciousness. So we are grateful. Ultimately, we are grateful for these teachings that bring a greater and greater awareness to the fullness of our humanity and the fullness of our divinity. So I invite you to just take a moment to offer gratitude for the power and the presence and the capacity of humility.
I have come to challenge your consciousness, to see if you can break these chains. Open your mind, open your heart to feel things you cannot see, and you will never be the same. No, you will never be the same. You have come to challenge your consciousness, to see if you can break these chains. Open your mind, open your heart to feel things you cannot see, and you will never be the same. No, you will never be the same.
Just invite you to take a deep breath and come back to this time and space if you haven't already. I'm just giving great thanks for the opportunity to expand our consciousness. That adds so much depth to our life. And I hope that you are sensing that as well. Seems like our teens are here to do our closing song with us. Come on in. Now is the time where we speak of our good that we give in the form of financial support to Unity Spiritual Center Denver, which is in service of our mission. So I also just invite us to say this together each Sunday, to know that you are supporting that with your finances and with your energy and with your engagement. This is a community effort that we are invested in here. So there are baskets in the back for cash and check as you're leaving. There's also a QR code in your bulletin for how you can give online. So thank you for those of you who do it that way. So just invite you to state our mission with us together. We inspire authentic connection with the divine, self, and others for spiritual growth, healing, and loving service in the world. So thank you for supporting that with your donations today. Another summer song, Human Side. It's got a good balance today.
I love you guys so much. Trish, you are a treasure. Hope you know that. I hope you know that. Do you know that? Protect her at all costs. What if I'm not pushing as hard as you would like me to? But what if I push too hard? What if I break you down? What if I'm not deep enough to hold your conversation? But what if I'm so abysmal that you feel you have nearly drowned? I should know by now. Your love is deeper than the oceans, wider than the seas, and I should know by heart the vision that you see when you look at me. But the human side of me thinks my best may never be good enough to make you want to stay. So I hold my breath and wait for the day I hear you say, I'm sorry, but I've got to go. And I'll tell myself I told you so. I never wanted you to see the human side of me. Got indentations of the past inside my head, even though my heart's new every time I look at you. So this tug of war keeps playing back and forth inside my chest, somewhere between the demons and the angels. And I should know by now that there is peace and amnesty deep inside of me, and I should know by heart these lines we create can never be erased. But the human side of me thinks my best may never be good enough to make you want to stay. So I hold my breath and wait for the day I hear you say, I'm sorry, but I've got to go. And I'll tell myself I told you so. I never wanted you see the human side of me. The human side of me. Bloodstains in this spot where my heart bled, so I patched it up with 30 threads. And sometimes I just can't see how anyone could love me now. And you say, baby, baby, stop, just breathe. So when the human side of me thinks my best may never be good enough to make you wanna stay, I'll just close my eyes and breathe. Let myself believe that I am more than good enough, and we are worthy of this love. You will make me change the way I see the human side of me. Thinks my best may never be good enough to make you wanna stay, I just close my eyes and breathe. Let myself believe that I am more than good enough, and we are worthy of this love. You will make me change the way I see the human side of me. Human side of me.